Joining me right now is our baseball aficionado here at You Better You Bet and on the network. It's our buddy Jake Hasan to help us make sense of what we saw over the weekend with the NCAA baseball tournament. Jake, and we got to start off with like the top seeds that we saw lose. I saw this stat floating around earlier this morning, but for both the top seeds to fall in the regionals, just the second time that that's happened since national seeding was introduced in 1999, and it was Wright State beating top-seeded Vanderbilt and UTSA beating number 2 Texas. What in the world happened over the weekend with these two teams? Are you as shocked as everyone seems to be to see the Vandy boys and the Longhorns bounce before we even get to the Super Regionals this upcoming weekend?
I mean, it was surprising, and if you want to make sense of the weekend that happened in the regional round, I don't know if I'm the right person. I don't know if anybody's the right person because it was weird. I mean, there were people saying as we came into the tournament that, hey, this is probably the most competitive field of 64 that we've ever seen, and that's kind of proving to be true here. Usually when you get to the Monday after the regionals, you don't have this many elimination games to decide the region. Usually you have like 1, 2, maybe 3. We have a handful today, and it's wild. I mean, there's one happening right now, and like you said, the top 2 teams get bounced, among others. Oregon gets bounced too, RIP to those tickets. LSU's on the ropes. Like, seemingly the only top seed that waltzed through this thing was Arkansas, and they're just sitting with their feet up right now. As far as who I was more surprised by, I was way more surprised by Texas. I thought they had this thing in the bag. They got their star Max Ballou back right before the tournament started. They had a manager who was just there with Texas A&M last year and took them on a ride all the way to the championship series, and they just fall flat. I know some people had some concerns about their pitching depth and lack thereof because of injuries, but I didn't think that region was super competitive or was going to be that big of a problem for Texas. And here we are. They don't even make it to a sudden death Monday. They get ousted on Sunday night. Vanderbilt was a little bit more writing on the wall with them just because they were mediocre in the middle of the year. It took a really hot run through the SEC tournament, winning the SEC tournament to get them that number 1 overall seed. And I think there were a lot of people, myself included, who were ready to poke holes in that. And you saw it even in the first game on Friday where they're getting no hit through 6 innings. And then in the elimination game with their backs against the wall, they go, I think, 1 for 8 or something like that with runners in scoring position. It's just not how you win games.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. And like we know about the top seeded curse or whatever, which was broken last year by Tennessee. But usually it's like, hey, avoid the top seed. But it's usually not, hey, like they're going to get bounced out in their own regional. Like that's not how it usually works. It's like maybe super regionals or maybe they get to the College World Series and flame out, like go 2-10 or something like that. But never the first weekend, which is pretty wild to see by Vandy and also Texas on top of that. Other takeaways that you had, like what else stood out to you? I know you mentioned Oregon. You had the futures on them that didn't really go your way there. But what else stood out to you? A team that maybe impressed you or a team that you maybe look at and says, okay, like that didn't really make sense, that kind of a performance?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. Florida, they were the popular team. We asked Colin Wilson about Florida on Friday, and everybody was going to be on them. Everyone, and myself included, I bet them to win that Conway Regional. Coastal Carolina ends up coming out with it, but I was surprised by how just flat they were. Florida just did not look ready to play. They get absolutely embarrassed in the first game on Friday by East Carolina. So that was really surprising. And I think my biggest thing is these supers are going to be very, very chaotic. I don't think it's over because now we're in just unknown territory here. A lot of territory that we just weren't expecting, which still could get even wackier. I like Murray State to beat Ole Miss today. Clemson, one of the top teams, also get ousted right away. Louisville takes that region. So just a lot of different stuff that this is all coming together. I will say, West Virginia, I think, is poised to make a run here. I bet them to win that region. That was about 2-3 to 1, depending on where you bet it. And they end up coming out. I think that they are primed because they were a team that was playing really well in a competitive Big 12 all year long. And then I think, and I said this last week, I think people are looking at like, oh, West Virginia, not known as a baseball school, we'll just slap a number up there. Worked out for us because they win the region at pretty nice numbers, and I think that's going to continue. I think they're a team that is tested. They played a lot of upper-tier competition in the regular season as well, so I think the Mountaineers might be a team that we're going to have to be betting going forward.
Yeah, no, Colin Wilson was talking about Big 12 teams don't make runs. How about that, Colin? How about that one? We love you, Colin. We're just giving you, you got to push back a little bit. But yeah, no, that's a good call for you on the Mountaineers who advanced to the Super Regional. So I guess before we get to today's games, because we have 3 of them that get underway at 6 o'clock, USC, Oregon State, We have Murray State and Ole Miss, and then Wake Forest and Tennessee. I know Wake Forest, a team that has intrigued you before we got to the start of the regionals this past weekend. Is there a futures bet that you would make at current prices right now? I know right now at BetMGM, I think the numbers are off the board since we have a game going on. But like, is there a team that you would identify as we turn the page to the Super Regionals before we get to tonight's game?
Yes, because I don't think they're bettable though, because they're your favorite. I mean, Arkansas, I mentioned, they just took care of business. Now they're sitting with their feet up, and they looked every bit of the team that I thought they were. I think I was on this show when I said they're 10-1, they're 11-1. That's wrong, and that was about a month ago. I still maintain that with Arkansas. I think they're kind of far and away the best team left. LSU's a close 1A, 1B if we're talking about splitting hairs here, but LSU is also in an elimination game tonight, and they might get ousted. The thing with these games tonight is I think anything can legitimately happen. You're in a Monday wacky elimination game for these regions. You're throwing your 4th, 5th, 6th guys out there. Your star pitchers aren't available for the most part. It could get weird, and that's why I bet Murray State against Ole Miss, because I was trying to go against Ole Miss in their region as it was, and the price, I don't think Murray State, these teams saw each other twice already over the weekend, split each way both times. Now you have a deciding third game. Think it's going to get weird, so I think getting better than 2-1 with Murray State is just a wrong price, so I took a little bit of a flyer on that. But when it comes to who's going to actually win this thing, Femi, I think it's probably just Arkansas or LSU, but I will say I was impressed by Coastal Carolina, sitting at 16-1 at BetMGM. They hosted the region. They're probably set up to host the Supers, host a Super as well. We'll see how it shakes out, who gets limited in tonight, how that all shakes out. But Coastal Carolina, a team that a lot of people had some issues with their offense coming into this, saying that they were mostly built on pitching, but Coastal's timely hitting is really, like, they just have like this knack for it. And so I think same as West Virginia, we're going to kind of look at Coastal. And remember, Coastal won this tournament within the last decade. So they're a team with a little bit of experience here. Their coaching staff and the guys that are around that team, I think Coastal maybe could be a team that can make a run to Omaha and maybe even deeper.
Yeah, Coastal 16-1, like Jake mentioned, to go ahead and win the College World Series, which begins on the 13th, which is a couple of weeks from right now. So you like Murray State tonight, plus 270, I think is the best price that I see. Any other bets that you have for the two games? You have USC, Oregon State, and then also Wake Forest and Tennessee.
Yeah, I think I'm percolating on USC just because Oregon State as a team I was trying to go against for them. I didn't make a bet for them to lose their region, but Oregon State is a team that's just wacky in a bad way to me, where they can easily give it up. I think kind of why I went with Murray State tonight against Ole Miss too. I think Oregon State was dying to lose a couple of these games, same way Ole Miss was over the weekend. And so Monday could get weird. USC surprised me. I wasn't expecting much from them at all over the weekend. I thought they'd be one of the first teams out, and here we are where they have a chance to win the region. I kind of like this spot as well, the hashtag spot for USC. The price is about plus 160, plus 170. I think that could get a little weird. We'll see. Might wait until the last second and try to get the hashtag value, but Murray State for sure, and I'm considering USC.
All right, so we're rocking with Murray State, which, like, if you want to tail that, because I will be tailing that one, plus 270. You don't have to twist my arm to go ahead and make that bet and watch that at 6 o'clock Eastern as the NBC Sports Now Power Hour begins. But that total, for those who just want something exciting, 16.5 is the total of that game. So that's going to be a fun one. Murray State and Ole Miss in the Oxford Regional.